अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा नाम मोहम्मद काशिफ खान है, वर्किंग एज एन एसोसिएट जनरल मैनेजर रिहैबिलिटेशन शिफा इंटरनेशनल हॉस्पिटल, और मेरे साथ इस जगह जहीर साहब हैं, असिस्टेंट मैनेजर और सीनियर फिजिकल थेरेपिस्ट शिफा इंटरनेशनल हॉस्पिटल। और जैसा कि आज का हमारा टॉपिक है रोल ऑफ फिजिकल थेरेपी पोस्ट कोविड, और हम लोग सब लोग जानते हैं कि वी आर गोइंग थ्रू दिस कोविड एरा, जिसके अंदर काफी दुनिया को आदर वे दिस वे किसी न किसी तरीके से हर बंदा अफेक्ट ही है इसके अंदर। और हम सब लोग कहीं ना कहीं इसके अंदर कोई ना कोई किसी न किसी वजह से अफेक्ट हुए। जब ये कोविड स्टार्ट हुआ तो जाहिर बात है रिसर्चेस नहीं थी, लैक ऑफ एविडेंसेस थे, और सब कुछ कंजर्वेटिव ट्रीटमेंट के तौर पर चल रहा था। विद पैसेज ऑफ टाइम इसके अंदर बहुत सारी रिसर्चेस इमर्ज हुई, बहुत सारी लोगों को समझ आने लगा, और अब हम लोग काफ़ी एक बेहतर तरीके से चल रहे हैं। इसके अंदर हमारे हॉस्पिटल के अंदर बहुत बड़ा फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट ने रोल प्ले किया। हम लोगों ने एक कोविड के लिए अलग से एरिया बनाया, फिजिकल थेरेपिस्ट के रोल डिफाइन किए, हॉस्पिटल में तमाम पीपीज तमाम मेजरमेंट्स हम लोगों को बताई, जिसकी बेस के ऊपर हम लोगों ने थेरेपीज प्रोवाइड की। नंबर ऑफ पेशेंट्स यहाँ से जाने लगे, और फिर घरों पे भी हम लोगों ने इस चीज़ को कंटिन्यू रखा। हमारे घरों के अंदर भी काफ़ी रेशो है जहाँ पे लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा मसाइल है जब यहाँ से जा रहे थे, और ये डे टू डे हो रहा था। इसके अंदर फिर काफ़ी सारी रिसर्चेस आने लगी। हम लोगों ने डिपार्टमेंटल बेस पे बैठ के इस रिसर्चेस को इससे फ़ायदा उठाना शुरू किया, और कुछ मेजर टूल्स और वो लेकर अपनाने शुरू किया, और पेशेंट्स के ऊपर अप्लाई करने शुरू किए। उसके बाद हमारे पास पेशेंट्स के रिजल्ट आने लगे। कोविड हम सब समझते हैं कि एक अभी भी बहुत कुछ सीखने का इसके अंदर मौका है, बहुत कुछ समझने का मौका है, और वैक्सीनेशन चल रही हैं दुनिया भर में। इवन दैट फिर भी लोग अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं। रिसर्चेस के हवाले से ये है कि काफ़ी कम मवाद है, लेकिन जितना है वो भी मतलब काफ़ी ज़्यादा हमारे लिए समझने के लिए काफ़ी कुछ है। खासकर रोल ऑफ फिजिकल थेरेपी, इसके अंदर दुनिया भर में बेतहाशा काम हुआ है। इस प्रेजेंटेशन के अंदर हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे कि उन रिसर्चेस को आपके सामने बेहतर तरीके से प्रेजेंट कर सकें, लोगों को बता सकें कि कौन से आउटकम मेजर्स टूल बनाए जा सकते हैं, जिसके अंदर क्या रोल फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट प्ले कर सकता है, और आप किस तरीके से अपने आप को उसके अंदर उस टूल के मुताबिक पेशेंट्स को किस तरह फायदा पहुंच सकता है। WCPT ने भी इस बार एक थीम दिया था, उसके मुताबिक एक एक्टिविटी डायरी भी है, वो डायरी भी हम लोग हॉस्पिटल में लॉन्च की है, अपने पेशेंट्स को दे रहे हैं, जिसके अंदर हम डेली बेस पे उनकी मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं, डेली बेस पे उनको उसकी डे टू डे उनकी ट्रीटमेंट के अंदर चेंजेस ला रहे हैं। अब मेरे साथ जहीर साहब हैं, ये फॉर्मली आपके साथ अभी स्टार्ट करेंगे। एंड पर जब ये खत्म होगा तो हम क्वेश्चन आंसर्स का जवाब देंगे। टाइम लिमिटेड है, कोशिश करेंगे कि सब लोगों को हम उनके मुताबिक जवाब दे सकें। प्लीज जहीर साहब स्टार्ट करते हैं।
बिस्मिल्लाह, थैंक यू सर काशिफ आपके इंट्रोडक्शन का, और I'm thankful to medical staff of your department, and thankful to MIS department who arranged this webinar for physical therapist and rest of the healthcare workers. So let's start our presentation. The main objective of this presentation is facts about coronavirus facts and COVID-19 signs and symptoms, long COVID illness definition, recent research data of long COVID illness regarding to physical therapy and rehabilitation, and most common features of long haulers in physical therapy, outcome measures in physiotherapy assessment and management. Physiotherapists are a main key group of long haulers care through this pandemic. And during last year, World Physical Therapy Day, it was focused on COVID care, and in this year on 2021, again WCPT is focusing on long COVID illness and long COVID and different physical therapy assessments. This is a flow chart. In this flow chart, we can see that if patient is admitted in ER and patient is recovered or patient has not significant changes in oxygen saturation or radiological differences, then the patient is referred to sub-intensive care unit. And after recovery from sub-intensive care unit, patient is shifted to acute care unit, and after 72 hours monitoring, patient is referred to rehabilitation unit. And after receiving rehabilitation services, when patient is improving his functional status and endurance level, patient may be discharged to home, and then his rehab follow-up conditions are started. And in other condition, if patient is unstable and is intubated, and after extubation, if patient is a long complexity conditions, then low complexity complications and patient can be shifted to home directly and then refer to follow-up services. And if patient have high complexity conditions regarding their vitals, regarding their respiratory conditions, then patient is referred to acute care unit for further observations. And then patient is after 72 hours observation, if he is medically stable, he is referred to rehabilitation services. This is a recent coronavirus pandemic facts and figures. In most of the people, although most of the people are recovering from COVID, and but the numbers are increasing day by day. So a large number of population who require as physical therapy and rehabilitation care along with medical care. So some facts about coronavirus. Coronavirus in 1960s, a group of virologists was working on three types of viruses, that is infectious bronchitis virus, mouse hepatitis virus, and transmissible gastroenteritis virus of swine. They found the same morphological morphology in these viruses, so they named them coronavirus. Coronavirus remain around from surgeries, and in 2002, a severe acute respiratory syndrome virus, the COVID-1, was observed in China, and it was also a pandemic that was spread to 29 countries. And again in 2012, MERS, that is Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, was observed. It was also a type of coronavirus that affect human, bats, and camels. Recently, world is facing a highly contagious severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 that was observed first time in China in November 2019. Still, there are four variant has been defined, that is alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. And about delta virus, there is a hypothesis that this virus may cause black fungus infection in respiratory and central nervous systems, but unfortunately, there is no authentic data available yet. So most common and typical symptoms of COVID-19 are fever, cough, moderate to severe dyspnea, generalized body aches, GI disturbance, complete loss of smell or partial loss of smell, complete loss of sense of taste or partial loss of sense of taste, skin rashes, and headache. A report that show the estimation of severity of symptoms, it showed that almost 80% of total patients of COVID patients are asymptomatic or with mild symptoms, while 15% experience severe were found with severe symptoms, while 5% were critical and they required intensive care unit medical care, and most of them were attributed. So, long COVID illness was defined by the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, and this definition is sign and symptoms of COVID-19 from 4 to 12 weeks is a typical time frame of COVID-19. If these signs and symptoms are lingering or lasting more than 12 weeks, this condition is they are defined in this condition as a long COVID illness definition. So signs and symptoms of COVID-19 from 4 to 12 weeks and post-COVID-19 syndrome for signs and symptoms that develop during or after an infection consistent with COVID-19 continues for more than 12 weeks and are not explained by any alternative diagnosis. A research group of UK Physio ME that explained long COVID illness regarding their symptoms, and it defined that permanent organ damage to the lungs and heart, post-intensive care syndrome, continuing COVID-19 symptom, and post-fatigue syndromes. These are the syndromes that and patients, long-hauling patients that are having these features of syndromes are considered as long COVID illness. So this is a research page and research group that is collecting studies from long hauler, and this is a good tracker to collect data for researches. Unfortunately, here in Pakistan, there is no research is available regarding COVID-19 long haulers. So physiotherapists and other healthcare workers can take help from this side to track the data regarding COVID-19. And in this page, a lot of data is available regarding complete researches and ongoing researches. So people living with post-COVID lingering syndrome are sometimes known as long haulers. Characteristics of long COVID illness are multidimensional. These patients have multi-organ involvement deficits. Their conditions are episodic. Some patients are reported that they have relapsed in remission phases after having their activities of daily living or after having their activities of instrumental daily living activities or after getting physical therapy treatment. So these episodic conditions these must be considered in our treatment plan and unpredictable in its nature. Long COVID illness features are asthenia, myalgia, arthralgia, post-exertional malaise, shortness of breath, chest discomfort or chest pain, disuse atrophy, muscular imbalance, proprioception impairments, dynamic imbalance consequences, compromised basic activities of daily living, and compromised instrumental activities of daily living, anxiety, mood swings, brain fog, that is loss of focusing, loss of thinking, memory problems, and post-traumatic stress conditions. In a sequence, if patient is having asthenia, myalgia, arthralgia, or post-exertional malaise, and shortness of breath and chest discomfort, so these are the main features that may hinder their activities of daily living, and patients have difficulty in performing even have difficulty in performing the basic activities of daily living. So this condition may lead to loss of mobilities. So loss of mobilities, as we all know, may cause disuse atrophy. Disuse atrophy may cause muscle imbalance, and there is observed proprioception impairments. If these conditions are aggravating with the passage of time, so not only dynamic balance is impaired, but also these can cause post-traumatic conditions. So it is necessary for every physical therapist and for all other healthcare workers, they consider these features to make a good treatment plan. It is 7% patients were discharged from Rome Hospital, Italy, and out 40% out of 87% patients reported that they experience a worse quality of life after having the COVID infection. Uh, in a cohort study, international cohort study that comprises of 7 months of symptoms, there 96% 96% reported 96% reported patients that their symptoms prolong more than 96 days. So 96% reported symptoms that prolong 96 days. That most frequent symptoms after 6 months were found fatigue, that was 78%, post exertional malaise 72%, and cognitive dysfunction 55%. So here, fatigue was the most aggravating factors that was hindering activities of daily living, and post-exertional malaise is also compromising the activities of daily living of COVID-19 patients. Long haulers. Here is a research group of UK that is collecting the data of general viral infection patients. And after a long research, they found that patients suffering from viral infections, they develop myalgic encephalomyelitis and chronic fatigue syndrome. The same condition was also observed in COVID long haulers, and the same research group collect data in the COVID long haulers. So in this data, the same group published this data, and we can see that fatigue, muscular body aches, shortness of breath, and difficulty in concentration, inability to exercise, and up to joint pain. The most frequent conditions observed in long haulers was fatigue, muscle aches, difficulty in breathing, inability to exercise or to be active, and having sleeping difficulty and joints pain. So these conditions were also found in other viral infections. So there is common condition in other viral infections and in COVID-19 long haulers patients that were compromising their quality of life. In COVID-19 post-viral fatigue syndrome was observed. Post-viral fatigue syndrome is continuous for a long period of time after the infection has gone. So one of the reason for coronavirus contracted people have fatigue, loss of energy, muscular pain, and generally feel unwell. So this is also an important point to remember. So so here is another study that there is a comparison of acute COVID-19 phase and COVID-19 follow-up condition. In this study, they show 60 days and symptoms that were persisting in COVID-19 patients. The major difference is fatigue. Fatigue was the significant change. Was observed in muscle aches, vertigo, and sore throat, and headaches, some eye problems, loss of taste. But fatigue, breathlessness, joints pain, chest pain, these were not, there was no significant change in these silent symptoms. In another study that was published in March 2021 regarding the COVID symptoms, There is also we can see that dyspnea, cough, fever, chest pain, diarrhea, tachycardia, fatigue, anxiety, headache, abdominal pain. The most important thing is that this dyspnea and cough and fever that were not observed in last studies, it was increasing with the passage of time. One of the conditions that is observed in long COVID holders is brain fog. A study that was published on September 2020. In this study, they mentioned that postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, that brain fog is one of the symptoms of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. The main symptoms of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndromes are fatigue, tachycardia, and they have hypotension. So one of the most common symptoms of POTS is brain fog. But in this study, they mentioned that it is not clear related to the blood flow to the brain, but some other conditions may cause brain fog condition. So let's move to our physiotherapy goals. Our physiotherapy goals for COVID long haulers are to improve their general fitness, to increase their mobility, and to prevent loss of function, and to improve their activities of daily living, and to make them independent in their activities of daily living. So, what physiotherapy do for long haulers? Physiotherapy, no doubt, physiotherapy play an important role in COVID-19 patients and in COVID long haulers. So through physical therapy, we can optimize their recovery. Through physical therapy, we can improve their movements and maximize the functionality of long haulers. COVID-19 not only affect respiratory conditions, but it also affect other systems of the body, that is pulmonary, cognitive problems, cardiac, neurological, and musculoskeletal conditions. So these phyli after COVID-19 are also found in long haulers, that they have lot of pulmonary conditions, they have problem in their cognition, they have cardiac issues like myocarditis, neurological activity. In some cases, some studies show that most of the long haulers or in COVID-19 patients are facing some neurological conditions like neuropathies and stroke. And musculoskeletal conditions are most common in long hauler patients. So, these are some important outcome measures, that is screening of post-water fatigue syndrome, fatigue severity scale, Borg rating of perceived exertion scale, self-evaluation of breathing questionnaire, deep all symptoms of questionnaire. So these are the outcome measures. Some of them are patient-reported outcome measures. And if you see post-COVID function status, there are two parameters, that is objective and patient-reported outcome measures. Through these outcome measures, physical therapy, the physical therapy intervention can improve the quality of life of patients, and even through these outcome measures, we can plan our effective and efficient goals and treatment plans. Shifa International Hospital has generated patient-reported outcome measures information system. So it is suggested for other clinics and other hospitals. They also can generate patient-reported outcome measures information system, so they can gather good data regarding their patients. Screening for post-viral function syndrome. This screening form is generated by the UK group of physical therapy, that is Physio for ME, and through this screening data, long haulers conditions can be evaluated. Fatigue severity score is most commonly used by most of the physical therapy clinics and hospitals. And this, the highest score of fatigue severity score is 63, while minimum score is possible. Cutoff score is 360. अगर कोई पेशेंट तो 360 पे जाके फॉल कर रहा हो तो ऐसे पेशेंट्स का जो है वो हमें अपना ट्रीटमेंट प्लान को सीज करना पड़ेगा, उसकी इवैल्यूएशन करना पड़ेगी, उसके लिए कुछ सिग्निफिकेंटली क्लिनिकल उसकी इवैल्यूएशन करवानी है और ऐसे पेशेंट्स को जो है वो पल्मोनोलॉजिस्ट को या कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट को हम रेफर कर सकते हैं. The next one is Borg rating of perceived exertion scale. This is through this scale, the patient exercise intensity and breathing can be evaluated. As we know that exercise intensity is directly related to breathing. So the minimum number of this is the minimum measurement of this Borg rating of perceived exertion scale is 1. That is a very light activities. Patient has no exertion in their activities, and 2 to 3 have light activities. So when we are dealing our long haulers through this scale, we can find out the exertion level. Then we can plan for the treatment, physical therapy exercises treatment through these scales. This is the self-evaluation of breathing questionnaire. A score, if score is greater than 11, that may indicate problem with your breathing problem of long haulers. And other short form of DBAL symptoms questionnaire. There are 2 types of parameters. One is regarding to the frequency of symptoms, and second is regarding to the severity of symptoms. But unfortunately, these forms are not recently used by physical therapy clinics or hospitals. And if we need to use these questionnaires and forms to collect a good research data in Pakistan for our long-haul patients care. This form that is generated by the research group of UK, that is ME research group. In this form contain 2 types of evaluations, the A and B. A is objective evaluation while B is subjective. In A, physical therapists ask some questions from the long haul patients, and according to their functionality limitations, they evaluate a patient's grading. The patient is in grade 4 if he has a severe function limitations, and 0 patient has a function limitations. There is no significant function limitations. And the second one part, that is B, which is patient reported outcome measures part. The patient is asked to fill this form, and here in Pakistan we have some literacy problems. But unfortunately, this form is not present in our language, in Urdu language. So explain this form if you want to collect data for your long haulers. Explain this, you can use this form. So let's move to physical therapy assessment. The first scale is cardiopulmonary assessment. Cardiopulmonary assessment, the most important part in cardiopulmonary assessment is red flags. Keep an eye on a patient's palpitation, inappropriate tachycardia, chest pain, breathlessness, sweating, cold peripheries, and these are the red flag signs. If during treatment plan any physical therapist observe these symptoms, then consider to seek medical emergency care regarding to continue their physical therapy intervention. And the other cardiopulmonary assessment conditions are oxygen saturation, respiratory rate, breathing pattern, blood pressure, and heart rate. So the normal physiological parameters of oxygen saturation for long hauler is 85 to 94% at room air. If it decreases to 85%, then it is a warning sign to seize the physical therapy intervention. Same like that, respiratory rate, that is normal 90 per minute to 11 per minute, and if it is going and it decreases from 8. So we also need to consider the medical intervention, especially blood pressure. If systolic blood pressure is decreasing up to 90 mmHg or 220 mmHg, or heart rate is decreasing below up to 40 or increasing 130, then it is a medical emergency condition, and we should refer this patient to emergency department or cardiologist or pulmonologist. And the main important point is don't continue physical therapy conditions if you find out some these warning signs. So, like other outcome measures, these are specific cardiopulmonary and function screening outcome measures we used even in our hospital at Shifa International Hospital Rehabilitation Department. So, these outcome measures can so it is very easy to evaluate the condition of long haulers regarding their exertional oxygen desaturation, regarding their balance, fall risk, mobility, and regarding their activities of daily living. So 6-minute walk test is advisable. It is easy to use. Time up and go test is easy to use. 1 minute sit and stand up stand test. 2 minutes step up test and Bartholin test. So 6-minute walk test, time up and go test, 1 minute sit and stand test, and 2-minute step up test. These tests will, while performing these tests, keep an eye on patients' vital signs, their dyspnea, and exertional level, and post-viral release. Barthel index score, that is for the evaluation of functional dependency. Their total score of Barthel index is 100. So if patient fall into 0 to 2 into 0 to 20, so he is totally dependent. And if he fall in 21 to 60, he has a severe dependency level in their activities of daily living. And similar like 61 to 90, there is moderate dependency, while the cutoff score of Barthel index is 60 to 61. Neurological assessment is also important for our long haulers to evaluate if they to find out some neurological deficits. You can go for their GCS level and to find out their cognition level, ask for time, place, person, and muscle tone, distal to proximal for all limbs muscles. So it is a regime. Muscle tone is assessed from distal to proximal. And manual muscle testing most focus on deltoid muscle, biceps, triceps, hand grip, quadriceps, hamstrings, and dorsiflexors. And in long hauler muscles, in patients who are suffering with dyspnea or with exertion, so it is necessary to keep them calm and don't exert patient by specific. So be specific and precise while neurological assessment. For risk, visual analogs for visual for risk assessment can be used in for sensation face as a reference and assess their limbs for sensory loss, and for pain assessment use face rating scale or numeric pain rating scales. And we are using these scales here in Shifa International Hospital for our every patient. So The physical therapy treatment strategies for long haulers is fatigue management, no doubt is most important, and respiratory exercises, low intensity stretching exercises, eccentric exercises, upper and lower body strengthening exercises, aerobic conditioning exercises, posture correction exercises, balance and coordination exercises. So we'll elaborate next slides. Fatigue management is the most important component of physical therapy for energy budgeting. Pacing is actually a positive way of to maximize energy with daily living activities. Pacing means spreading out activities and alternating it with rest periods so that you are able to continue for longer. So, by managing fatigue, we can enhance the patient's quality of life so he can perform maximum activities of their daily living. So, the main strategy is plan, priorities, and pacing. Ask the patient to plan their activities first and then observe the priorities of activities of daily living, which work is most important for him to perform, which activities is most important for the patient to perform. Then while performing these activities, he needs some rest. That is pacing. So through this strategy, patients' energy budgeting can be maximized and can maximize their quality of life and then maximize their independence in activities of daily living. Cardiopulmonary physical therapy. Pulmonary clearly that is observed in long haulers are impaired lung function, lung fibrosis, tough secretions, exertional oxygen desaturation, and dyspnea. Respiratory exercises that's advised for long haulers are burst breathing exercises, segmental breathing exercises, diaphragmatic breathing exercises, dyspnea relieving postures, thoracic expansion with shoulder elevation, manual mobilization of respiratory muscles, and airway clearance techniques. And be careful not to overload the respiratory muscle systems and by causing respiratory distress. So these are the most important part of respiratory exercises or respiratory rehab. That firstly, breathing exercises play a major role in reducing the patient stress level. And from firstly breathing exercise, when we start firstly breathing exercises, then we can perform rest of the other activities efficiently and effectively. So more focus on firstly breathing exercises in long haulers. The other most effective technique for long haulers is activities of breathing technique, active cycle of breathing technique. So as I discussed earlier, that firstly breathing exercises is the most important initiation for respiratory rehab. So for active cycle of breathing technique exercises, patient must be in some comfortable position. He must be in Fowler's position at up to 30 to 70 degree at reclining position or in a comfortable chair or in bed, and then start with firstly breathing exercises, that 10 firstly breathing exercises, and then again and go for deep breathing exercises, 3 to 5 cycles of deep breathing exercises, and then for breathing control. In long haulers, it is difficult to maintain breathing control for longer time. So 3 to 5 seconds or 3 to 7 seconds are enough according to the patient's of condition for breathing control technique. So then again start deep breathing repetitions, that is 3 to 5, and then go for breathing control again for 3 to 5 seconds, and then go for huffs. Huff technique, that is huff techniques, high velocity huffs or mid velocity huffs. These can high velocity huffs clear upper airway secretions, while mid velocity huffs will clear lower airway secretions. If patient experience breathlessness during HUF or during this cycle at the HUF stage, patient is experiencing breathlessness, then start breathing control with pulse sleep exercises. So in my clinical experience, I have found that when we start pulse sleep breathing exercises, breathing control exercises up to 3 to 5 seconds, patient feel relaxed and his respiratory muscles are relaxed and the patient feel comfortable for the rest of the exercises. So at HUF stage, if patient expectorate secretions, then there is no need to go for cuff. But if it is difficult for patient to expectorate secretions, then go for the cuff phase. And if it is not possible for the patient to cuff out secretions, then repeat this cycle. The 3 cycles are enough for long court hour for long haulers. This cycle is not optimized. This may be variable according to age, severity of the symptoms. So keep an eye on patient symptoms while performing active cycle of breathing technique treatment. The other most important technique for long haulers is autogenic drainage. The patient who are feeling difficulty in performing active cycle of breathing technique, the other most important technique is autogenic drainage. This the rationale of autogenic drainage is this, the speed of expiratory flow may mobilize secretions by shearing them from the bronchial walls and transporting them from the peripheral to the central airway. To reinforce autogenic drainage or to to improve the autogenic drainage, positive expiratory pressures devices can be used like Ecopila, PEP mask, flutter. The autogenic drainage technique comprises of 3 phases. Number 1, unsticking phase. Number 2, collecting phase, and evacuation of secretions. So in phase 1, deep inhale through nose, exhale through mouth at low lung volume. When breaths normally, hair under patient aware of secretion in small airway. So if patient doesn't feel the sense of dislodging of secretions, so keep going with the unsticking phase. And then when patient feels or when you feel you observe that dislodging of secretions by using stethoscope, then go for the next phase, that is collection of secretions. In this phase, increase the depth of inspiration to mid-lung volume with increased expiratory volume. By this strategy, secretions pass to the mid-zone of respiratory system and may move to the central airway. Then go for the next, that is evacuation phase. Increase inspiration to high lung volume and maximize inspiratory volume and high volume helps to expectorate secretions. Here is in this phase, the last HUF is most important. While in active cycle of breathing technique at the level of HUF, patient is feeling most exertion in some cases, while in cases of autogenic drainage, the exertion level is minimized. So these are the positive expiratory pressure equipment that may improve or affect, that may enhance the effectiveness of autogenic drainage technique. The next, incentive spirometer, the most important equipment that is commonly used in most of the hospitals, in most of the clinics, easy to use, and it is cost-effective equipment for every patients. And in long haulers, incentive spirometer will increase lung volume and will enhance the respiratory functions and will diminish the secretion retentions. Incentive spirometer also will improve the effectiveness of active cycle of breathing and deep breathing exercises as well. So next management is exertional oxygen desaturation. During mild exertion, oxygen saturation fall up to fall 90% in patients with who are not suffering from any significant lung pathology, and in it falls up to 88% in patients who are who having lung pathology. So rehab screening test for the evaluation of exertional oxygen desaturation are two outcome measures, that is 1 minute C2 stand test and 2-minute step up test. Physiotherapy exercises cautions with patients screening positive for post-exertional relays, seek pulmonologist and consideration for clinical workup. Exertional oxygen desaturation physical therapy interventions are breathing training exercises like first breathing exercises, deep breathing exercises, diaphragmatic exercises, and autogenic drainage exercises. And the most important point for exertional oxygen desaturation in intervention is the relaxation. So first deep breathing exercises can manage exertional oxygen desaturation intervention with deep breathing exercises. So training in energy budgeting, prioritize activities with pacing strategies and prone positioning education. So prone positioning, pacing technique, breathing exercises, firstly breathing exercise, deep breathing exercises. These can manage exertional oxygen desaturation intervention. Patients who have hypoxic, patients who are hypoxic or hypoxemic conditions, exertional oxygen desaturation interventions are not advised for these patients because these patients require some specific clinical judgments and workup. These are some positions for long haulers who should advise our patients patients having COVID-19 symptoms, either acute condition or in long haulers. These positions are these positions can ease breathlessness condition. And position 2 is breathlessness. So observe that while in lying position and while in Fowler's position, patients' accessory muscle use minimize, and they more focus on their diaphragmatic breathing exercises. Their upper limbs are supported and exertion level decreases, and in prone position, chest expansion enhanced, and it will improve the oxygen saturation level. While patient have desaturation condition or breathlessness condition, in sitting position, same like in other sideline position or prone positioning, their accessory muscles work minimize and enhances the work of diaphragmatic breathing and diaphragm muscle, and so in this a patient's breathlessness condition can be minimized or managed by these specific postures or positions. One position, if patient is feeling dyspnea or breathlessness, by adopting this position, accessory muscles work minimized and patient feel relaxed and improve his oxygen saturation level, and dyspnea condition can be managed easily with this position as well. So next move to our cardiac endurance training strategies for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So there is an important role of physical therapy in postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. In a research that was published in March 2021, the symptoms of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndromes are increased heart rate, up to 30 beat per minute or over 120 beat per minute within 10 minutes of standing. And second one is orthostatic hypotension condition that decreases in systolic blood pressure of 20 mmHg or decreases in diastolic blood pressure of 10 mmHg within 3 minutes of standing or tilt table tests. So here important point is that patients' heart rate and blood pressure is decreasing in upright posture. So 6 to 8 months after having COVID-19 condition, 85% of patients had residual autonomic symptoms, with 60% unable to return to work. These are some symptoms of postural orthotic tachycardia syndrome. There is chest pain, palpitation, blurred vision, sleep disorder, mood swing, headache, nausea, anxiety, panic attack, and memory problem. The postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome physiotherapy management, along with other non-pharmacological management, play an important role. And it is advisable that abdominal binders, sitting and spine exercises can improve the condition of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, even in long hauler patients. So these are the exercises which are strongly advised in research. First, horizontal plane exercises. In our long hauler patients, if he is suffering from postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, so start with horizontal plane exercises. Horizontal plane exercises, as we know that in standing patients may have the hypertension condition or bradycardia condition. So horizontal exercises can improve his endurance level by running exercises, swimming exercises, recumbent bike exercises for 25 minutes. Up to 2 months and 3 to 4 times per week, and observe the patient's steady state of heart rate in first 20 minutes. So our goal is to maintain the heart rate, that is steady state biological condition, and evaluation through Borg scale. And after 2 months, when patient's steady heart rate is observed and patient is having good conditions after horizontal plane, then vertical plane exercises are advised, that are upright bicycle, treadmill, jogging for 45 minutes in for 5 to 6 times a week. So not only increase the frequency of exercises, but also increase the intensity of exercises for our postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome patients. Observe and document maximal steady state of heart rate in first 30 minutes in every session, and work scoring 5 minutes, and start these plan with 5 minutes warm up and 5 minutes cool downs. If patient has difficulty in 30 minutes of maximal steady state without a break, then his session can be break into two, that is 15 minutes of each session, that having 10 minutes of rest between the this condition is also a variable clinical manifestation regarding to age. So next, move to musculoskeletal and strategies to improve functional. So our musculoskeletal conditions, that physical deconditioning is where muscular weakness, reduced joint pain, difficulty in standing, and limitations of ADLs. So respiratory muscles that are accessory respiratory muscles, scalene, pectoralis, latissimus dorsi muscles, and iliocostalis muscles, cervicus. These muscles are attached to upper limbs. So the significance of upper limb force transferring in long hauler patients who are using their accessory muscles, that is axial joint muscular deconditioning is observed in long hauler patients. So if these patients have deconditioning of their muscles, it will not only overload their accessory muscles, so it may lead to dyspnea and some other respiratory conditions. So it is necessary to train upper limb muscle strengthening by resistive exercises using TheraBand and electrical stimulation as well, electrical muscle stimulation as well. So accessory muscles are rectus abdominis, external oblique, internal oblique, transverse abdominis, lower. So patient who are using their accessory expiratory muscles, it is observed that they are complain of back pain due to quadratus lumborum spasm. So it can be managed by hot fermentation, interferential current intense therapy, myofascial release, and subthreshold intensity of stretching exercises as well. A condition observed in long hauler patient or patient who are in ICU and they are receiving steroid therapy, osteonecrosis of femoral head condition is observed. So to prevent the osteonecrosis of femoral head, passive active exercises, active and resistive and joint range of motion exercises, and early mobilization, double activity, these are advised to prevent the osteonecrosis of femoral head who are receiving steroid patients. Balance is also affected in long haulers. Consequences of lower extremity and trunk muscles fatigue, imbalance and functional tasks in older people. So the muscles that are most affected are knee extensor muscles and hip flexors and ankle plantar flexor muscles as well. So like other limb and abdominal extensor muscles, it is necessary to train knee extensor muscles along with hip flexor muscles and ankle plantar muscles. By re-education training and strengthening of these muscles, patients' balance can be improved. Physical reconditioning, entrance and strengthening exercises for long haulers or aerobic exercises. This is a plan for long hauler patients. Resistive exercises, TheraBand can be used. Exercise plan for long COVID for having 8 months post-infection. Walk for 5 minutes in morning and afternoon and below aerobic threshold, and 20 minutes of cognitive activity 3 times a day. Started gentle stretching exercises, just spine positioning for last 2 months. Patient stabilizes symptoms with no flares. Started 4 repetitions isometric muscle contraction exercises for 1 minute and with rest intervals. Each exercise is for last 1 month. TheraBand exercises are most effective to improve the muscle strength. Neuromuscular electrical stimulation can be used to help with strengthening and reconditioning in patients having long hauling symptoms. Even in ICU patients, the most important gadget is used to prevent the deconditioning of ICU patients. Electrotherapy for long haulers in a research that support the electrical muscle stimulation for ICU patients. That electrical muscle stimulation increased muscle strength in the subjects who received ventilator therapy. Electrical muscle stimulation is a simple, non-invasive method of muscle strengthening that is well tolerated without adverse effects and previously described. So, electrical muscle stimulation may enhance muscle fiber recruitment and reduce atrophy due to immobility or critical illness. And also, muscle stimulation is in subjects who are critical ill induced and acute systemic effect on microcirculation. So this study strongly advised electrical stimulation for long haulers, for patients on prolonged mechanical ventilation as well. There is another study that strongly support electrical muscle stimulation to prevent muscular atrophy, improve muscle strength, and continue maintaining blood flow and reduce edema. So, manage of fatigue include comprehensive assessment, pacing, rest, relaxation, sleep management, food and nutrition, and heart rate monitoring. So, conclusion is the physiotherapists are one key group of frontline healthcare workers. So, COVID-19 long haulers' quality of life can improve by effective and efficient physiotherapy and rehabilitation strategies, clinical assessment, judgments, intervention plans. Physiotherapists should be aware of complications of long-hauling COVID-19 symptoms and consider appropriate diagnostic and therapeutic intervention in these patients. Thank you so much, and we have Happy World Physical Therapy Day to all physiotherapists.
थैंक्स फॉर जॉइनिंग अस। और ये बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं, कोशिश करेंगे कि हम जो रेलिवेंट्स हैं उनके साथ करते जाएं, ठीक है। और why people are performing massage rather than physiotherapy in general body aches and COVID syndrome? No evidence about that. एक डॉक्टर साहब जिन्होंने ये मैसेज किया हुआ है। और इसके अलावा फौजिया बतूल ने ऑब्जेक्टिव आउटकम मेजर्स शुड बी मोस्ट प्रिफर्ड फॉर असिस्टिंग फंक्शन इन पेशेंट डिसोसिएशन एज इट गिव द मोर बेटर ऑथेंटिक। यस फौजिया, यहाँ पे अभी जहीर साहब ने इसी के बारे में बात की है, आउटकम मेजर्स के बारे में। एक्चुअली सॉरी, फॉन्ट बहुत छोटा है, मुझे आगे आना पड़ रहा है और पढ़ने के लिए। तो जहीर साहब ने उसी के ऊपर ज्यादा जोर दिया है कि आउटकम मेजर्स के थ्रू आप पेशेंट को उनकी जो ट्रीटमेंट प्लान है, जिसने उन्होंने आखिर में भी डिस्कस किया, उसके हर एक के आउटकम मेजर्स मौजूद हैं। आप उसमें से ऑथेंटिक आउटकम मेजर्स जैसे अप्लाई करेंगे, आपको ट्रीटमेंट प्लान के मुताबिक जो है ट्रीटमेंट बनाने के लिए बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्टिव रहेगा। ये मलिक अदील साहब ने लिखा, प्लीज सी दैट वी कैन डू इफ फीवर स्टिल। जही साहब इसका ये बताइएगा।
नहीं, अगर पेशेंट को फीवर है तो उसमें प्रेफरेबली जो है वो आप अपने एक्सरसाइज प्लान को सीज कर दें, और अगर उसका टेम्परेचर जो है वो कुछ नॉर्मल रेंजेस में आता है तो तभी पेशेंट की एक्सरसाइजेस कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि फीवर में जो है वो नॉट ओनली हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज होता है बल्कि फटीग लेवल भी इंक्रीज होता है। तो इस कंडीशन में अगर आप उनकी एक्सरसाइज स्टार्ट करेंगे तो वो उनके जो है पोस्ट एक्सर्शन में इस कंडीशन को इंक्रीज करेगा।
Dr. Farah, the whole session is going good. Thank you for Dr. Farah. Tausif Ahmed, can physiotherapy suggest particular lifestyle modification to fight COVID? Yes, इन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी इसके अंदर तौसीफ की है। शाहनवाज सर, can you explain more detailed fatigue management? जही सब ये शाहनवाज सर।
जी शाहनवाज, फटीग मैनेजमेंट में अभी जो चीज़ें मैंने बताई हैं उसमें कुछ रिसर्च बेस्ड ये ट्रीटमेंट प्लान है, क्योंकि कोविड पेशेंट्स में पोस्ट एक्सर्शन मलेस और उसमें डीसैचुरेशन की कंडीशन ज़्यादा ऑब्जर्व की जाती है। तो इसलिए फटीग मैनेजमेंट में जो पेसिंग की बात हमने की थी, पेसिंग में यही है कि पेशेंट की एक्टिविटीज़ की जो है वो प्रायोरिटीज़ उनको आप पहले आप लिखें या पेशेंट से कहें कि अपनी प्रायोरिटीज़ को वो आपको एक लिस्ट बना के दे, और उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली फिर पेशेंट का जो है वो पेसिंग स्ट्रेटजी के थ्रू उसकी फटीग लेवल को मैनेज किया जा सकता है।
शाहनवाज अली, कैन वी गेट, मतलब ये मोर हो गया, ये इनका भी अदील साहब ने कहा है कि हाय कैन गेट द रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ दिस सेशन। रिकॉर्डिंग आई थिंक सो हमारी वेबसाइट के ऊपर यूट्यूब के ऊपर मिल जाएगी। यूट्यूब के ऊपर हमारा पूरा का पूरा हर पार्ट अवेलेबल होता है। इसके अलावा एक कोई अननोन है, इन्होंने लिखा है how to do and interpret the stand to sit test. एक्चुअली क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आया, अगर आप दोबारा से सही तरीके से कर दें। लास्ट वाला जो एनोनिमस है इनके बारे में बकिया। इसके अलावा मोर देन जगत हमारे पास 100 हैं जगत पार्टिसिपेंट है। इसके अलावा बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस और हैं। थैंक्स फॉर आप लोगों ने जिस तरीके से अप्रिशिएट किए जा रहे हैं। क्वेश्चन ज़्यादातर क्वेश्चन अगर आप प्रोफेशनल और उसके मुताबिक करें कि पेशेंट की ज्यादा अच्छा और डेफिनेटली वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव है। फिजियोथेरेपी इस जगत अपकमिंग फील्ड है और इसके अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा रोल प्ले किया जा रहा है और दुनिया भर में इसकी रिसर्चेस के मुताबिक काम किया जा रहा है और मेरे ख्याल से काफ़ी अच्छी गाइडलाइन आपको दी गई हैं। आप इसके ऊपर अगर काम करें तो इंशाल्लाह ताला वर्किंग कर सकते हैं। ठीक है जी, थैंक यू जी, बहुत बहुत
Thank you so much.
थैंक यू।